Hello and welcome to this unscheduled Sunday edition of the Ectohead channel. So, Bill Maher. On his show the other night, he gave a monologue within which he talked about ufology, or UAP as they're now called. And I've watched it, and I've come away with the conclusion that this is a soft step towards disclosure. A man who once openly derided anything that was UFO related, along with many of the other various commentators on American TV, is now, it seems, interested. Not only interested, but pushing the topic. In this monologue, he gives all the information that anyone would need to brush up on current events. The names of the players most specifically. However, Googling those names is a bit of a minefield in itself, as anyone who decides to do so will soon find out. On the screen behind me you see Commander Fravor, a pilot who is one of the main players who kicked off this current effort towards disclosure. You'll see the various bits of footage and the other players that are involved. This rather interesting but casual segment in his show will, I think, in the future be looked upon, should disclosure happen, as one of the pivotal moments. Those of us in ufology always knew that disclosure would happen one of two ways. It would either be a UFO on the White House lawn, with the president stood in front, telling us that we weren't alone, as if the UFO behind him wasn't evidence enough, or slowly, information drip-fed through the various media outlets in order to acclimatise the population to the fact that we're not alone. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, why Bill Maher? Why now? Dan Sheehan recently went on the Third Eye Drops podcast and spoke of a counter-organisation, an organisation within the halls of officialdom, trying to fight back against the secret keepers. But with the addition of segments like this in the Bill Maher show, I very much hope there are more to come. I think things might start to change. In fact, I know they will. My own experience of the various people around me is that there are some who are interested outwardly, there are some who are quietly interested, who won't broach the subject unless you do too, and others who just roll their eyes at it all and go, "Marcus, the aliens are coming!" I've had a lot of that over the years, and it's all good fun. Even in a subject as earth-shaking as ufology as Bill Maher is expertly doing here, humour is welcome, if not absolutely required. And so this group of people that Danny Sheehan is referring to, he loosely calls the association, a group of individuals who are determined to fight against the secrecy, and I can only hope hell-bent on letting the public know the truth of the situation. And one must also ask, when one knows about this group called the association that Danny Sheehan speaks of, whether or not the film by Steven Spielberg, Disclosure Day, isn't actually another step on the ladder of disclosure. With America's news nation leading the way on ufology reports, we can only hope that there are more examples of this. If Colbert or however you decide to pronounce it, also ends up having a section of a monologue on his show within the next few months, one might reasonably argue we really are on this path to disclosure, and that this group called the Association might in actual fact have more power than I initially gave it credit for. In ufology lore, this shadowy group called the Association has been spoken about, alluded to many times over the years, trying to push back against the secrecy, and it seems like finally they might be having some success. I recently made my thoughts known on the Steven Spielberg Disclosure Day movie, and I was kind of a bit lukewarm on it. I thought there might be some information that we might find useful in there, but really it would all be too arty to make any real use of. But it really seems like things are moving forward. If there is, in fact, a group of individuals trying to release the information that we are not alone in this universe, and not only are we not alone, that they are here with us now, then I wish them more power and Godspeed. There was a time not too long ago when people in ufology who'd experienced all kinds of close encounters were isolated, derided, and as a result their lives had been made very, very difficult. What must that do to your psyche? And then to be mocked. Ufology and being involved in ufology isn't for the faint of heart. And as disclosure looms all the more brightly on the horizon, we must take an opportunity to recognise everybody who was involved, all the people who had been derided, everyone who was mocked, and, dare I say it, everyone who may have been killed in order to keep these secrets. If this monologue marks the start of public disclosure, it also marks the start of a new phase in the fight to disclose those secrets. This is public messaging in action. And should disclosure happen, Bill Maher, of all people, will be one of the individuals we have to thank. Do let me know what you think in the comments below. Do like, subscribe and share. It really would help the channel. And until next time, bye-bye.